Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Rachel. I make new videos every week on fashion and school psychology. So thank you guys for tuning in. And for those of you returning, thank you guys so much for coming back. So for today's video, I wanted to keep going with the school psychology track that I've been going on, sharing with you guys a little bit more about the job and what I do for work. So for today's video, I thought I would share 10 reasons to become a school psychologist. And I feel like a school psych is still just like a very not well-known job. Like whenever I tell people that I'm a school psych, a lot of people just have no clue what I do, which is totally fine. Like I don't take offense to that because I feel like, you know, compared to like a nurse or a lawyer, like everybody knows what they do, but nobody knows what a school psych does half the time. So that's also part of the reason why I wanted to start filming some YouTube videos about it, just to like share more information, since it's such a popular field to like go into right now for a lot of reasons. So some of those I'll get into with this video. So yeah, I figured I would share with you guys 10 reasons, and there are plenty more, but I'm just gonna share 10 for the purposes of time to become a school psychologist. And I'm gonna finish my pumpkin cream cold brew. If you guys have not tried this yet from Starbucks, you gotta get it, but get it with 2 pumps of pumpkin and 2 pumps of vanilla, because they usually just put vanilla and it's so much better. So anyways, let's get started. Okay, so the first reason to become a school psychologist is that there are numerous roles within this job. So you're trained in a bunch of different things, like counseling students and writing IEP goals, doing assessments and evaluations, which is like what I primarily do, doing consultation with teachers, coming up with interventions, doing crisis prevention. Like there's a whole list of things that you can do as a school psych. That's one thing I initially liked about it, is that, you know, you're not doing the same thing all the time. So it's not really getting like too repetitive, and it really depends to where you are. So like I was trained in Rhode Island, where I went to grad school, and like the school psych role there is definitely more comprehensive. So typically you would do like everything I just said, but in Massachusetts, most school psychs just do assessments, which is actually like my favorite role out of all the roles. So I was pretty happy with that. So it really depends like where you are, like depending on state and just individual districts too. The roles are going to vary. So that's always important to check. The second reason to become a school psych is, and this is, I love calling it this, is that you're like a detective, pretty much. So when you get a referral for a student that has like a suspected disability and may need special education services, you know, you're trying to figure out, okay, what is going on with the student? Like, where do they need more help? You're gathering data through like rating scales and testing. So it kind of has like some of the neuropsych components I talked about in my previous video. And we only educationally classify students. We don't like diagnose students like neuropsychologists would. But I really like that role of just like feeling like I'm a detective and trying to solve the problem with what's going on with the student. The third reason to become a school psych, and these are more like traits. So if you have these traits, then you should definitely consider going into this field. Being flexible, having good time management, and organizational skills. So I remember in grad school, like all my friends would tell me that I had the best time management and organization, which is so helpful, honestly, because I have like a huge spreadsheet with all my assessments that I have to do for all these different kids. So I feel like I'm really well organized when it comes to keeping track of just all the little things for each student that I'm assessing. And that's definitely important. Same thing with flexibility. Like if you have multiple roles in a school, something might happen like a crisis and you have to cancel all your plans for the day and then just figure it out, go from there. It's definitely like a go with the flow type of job. So if you have those traits, this would be perfect for you. So the next reason to become a school psych, and I was a little hesitant to put this in, is the salary. So again, like I keep saying, it really depends where you are. Like in Rhode Island, I remember the salary for school psychs was not the best, but the cost of living is a lot cheaper in Rhode Island than it is in Massachusetts. So even though I'm making significantly more in Mass than I would in Rhode Island, like it's also the cost of living is a lot more expensive to live in Mass. So I would say you have to look up what the median salary is for your state. Like in Massachusetts, I think the median is like 60 to 70. And just for reference, I'm in my second year of being a school psych and I'm in the high 60s right now for my salary. But then I have like other friends in Massachusetts that work in other districts and they're making like in the 80s or 90s. And then you have people making 40s. So it really is so different depending on the district. And a lot of times you can find like the salary schedule for a district on their website. It might take a little bit of digging to find it, but I definitely recommend trying to if you can. But yeah, so like keep in mind the cost of living, because when you look up like California, it says they pay like 100 grand. But living in California is so expensive, it would pretty much be the equivalent of what I make here. But the nice thing about the salary, regardless of what you start with, is that you are on a salary schedule, which means every year your salary gets raised. So I always have a 2.5% increase every year, sometimes even more in my current district, which is really nice because you never have to ask for a raise. You just know you're always gonna have a raise every single year. So it's like a stepped salary where you have like 10 to 13 steps. So you just go up like maybe $2,000 a year. But again, it's depending on what school district you're in, it might vary. The fifth reason to become a school psych is the schedule. Like this is one of the things that appealed to me, like when I was looking into school psych. I really like how you have summers off. I mean, you could work in the summer if you want, like there's some school psych summer jobs, but I don't want to. I love the summers off. I love having a whole week in February, a whole week in April. Again, some states don't do the whole 2 weeks anymore for the February and April vacay, but Massachusetts does. And we always get major holidays off. So you're never working on a day you pretty much don't want to work. So I really like the schedule. Obviously we get snow days if it snows. My current day-to-day schedule is 8 to 2:45. So I'm always done before 3 o'clock. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing like a 9 to 5. I love the school hours, just everything about them. The sixth reason to become a school psych is the amount of like autonomy you get in the workplace. So I don't have like anybody that dictates my schedule. Like the only thing that is put in my schedule that they have to ask me what works for me are like meetings when we're talking about a kid's eligibility for special ed. You know, I'll have those meetings and then like weekly school psych meetings, but other than that, I plan my day how I want to plan it. So I can test 1, 2, 3 kids in a day. I would never test 3 in a day. But I could do whatever I want, and I could do report writing whenever. I pretty much just write it in my Google Calendar, like what I'm doing for the day, and if someone wants to find me, they just look at my calendar. So it's really nice because nobody really dictates what your day is gonna look like. So it's all up to you. Like if you have a more comprehensive role, you could do counseling all one day, have meetings in one day, and do like testing one day. So you can split it up however you want, and most of the time, no one's gonna tell you otherwise. The seventh reason to become a school psych is that no 2 days are the same. And I think I mentioned this earlier on, but you know, you're not doing the same thing every day. Even me, like just doing assessments, like I'm not doing counseling, crisis prevention, or anything else. It still doesn't get repetitive for me because again, I can break it up how I want to. So if I feel like doing testing 3 times a week and then report writing twice a week, I can figure out what days I want to do what, and then we'll have meetings some days. And if you have a more comprehensive role, like definitely no 2 days are the same then, because you never know what's going to come at you. Like sometimes you might have a crisis and that might mess up your plans for the day. So then you have to figure out how to do the things you originally wanted to do for like the next day. So yeah, no 2 days are the same, especially if you have a comprehensive role where you're doing numerous things. The eighth reason to become a school psych is that you are an advocate for kids. And I feel like this is like one of the main reasons that people become school psychologists is, you know, you have some sort of desire to work with kids and support them in school. So I really like it because I mostly work with like older students, so high school population. and I feel like they struggle sometimes to try and get their voice heard. So I'm kind of a connection for them to get their voice heard and like advocate for them. So if a student is like really getting anxious in one particular class, like talking to that teacher and figuring out some strategies that they can implement in the classroom for that student in order to help the student, because they might not feel comfortable talking to their teacher about their anxiety, especially if they feel like they have no connection with them. So I feel like you're a voice for students and you're helping them and supporting them in any way that you can. The 9th reason to become a school psych is that you are trained to work with all students, like all ages. So ages 3 to 21 is like typically the age range. And the good thing about that is, since you're trained to work with all ages, you can figure out what preference you have. So my preference is working with like high school students. I just, during internship I did all ages, and I really prefer high school over elementary. So when I was looking for jobs, I really just tried to apply to places that were hiring for like high school. So in my current job, I'm considered district-wide because none of the school psychs are based in a building. Like we're all not in a school building, we're in the special ed building, and we travel to different schools to do testing. But that was like when we were in person. Right now it's a little different. So even though I'm district-wide, I did get hired to do all the testing for high school evaluations. So here and there I'll get like an elementary school student, but the large majority of my evals are high school level. So if you have a specific preference, like most likely because there's so many jobs out there hiring, you can figure out what preference you want and just apply to schools that fit your preference. So that's definitely nice. You don't really have to work with a population if you don't want to. That leads me into the 10th and final reason to become a school psych is job security. Like, there are so many school psych jobs out there. I get like offers weekly from other places wanting to hire school psychs because, like I said, it's a field that not many people know about yet. So not many people go into it. And because of that, there's such a need. So you will have great job security. You'll probably never get fired from a job. You will always find a job. If you're switching from one school and you want to go to another one, you will have a job. School counselors and school social workers have similar roles, but as a school psych, you're trained to do very similar things as them and more. So I feel like more often than not, they're looking to hire school psychs. Not to say that school adjustment counselors and school social workers aren't needed, but oftentimes like all three are trained to do counseling, and then you're also trained to do evaluations, crisis intervention, etc. So yeah, definitely recommend going into school psychology and just looking more into it if you guys are interested. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video about 10 reasons to become a school psych. If you guys want me to do another video about this, I would love to film one. Or if you'd like to hear a little bit more about why I chose school psych, it's not like a memorable story, but I'll share it if you guys want. So just let me know in the comments down below. So I hope you guys like this video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and let me know what you thought of this video in the comments. And I will see you guys very soon. Bye! Just get me out of here.